let's move on to the next speaker, the last for this session, last but not the least. Ms. Hamseswari Renganathan, Principal Product Strategy Manager, Oracle Fusion SCM. She's a strategy technology leader with a strong background in driving digital transformation and AI innovation in quality-centric manufacturing environments. Over 2 decades of experience with the ZF Group, Nokia, Texas Instruments, and currently Oracle. Currently focused on advanced AI-driven transformation in manufacturing operations. She is certified by Nokia Bell Labs on 5G industrial automation networks, holds advanced degree in electrical engineering and management. Over to you, ma'am.
I'm having a little bit of data integrity issues. My phone wouldn't open if it doesn't see me clearly. Sometimes it doesn't even identify me. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to be here among some of the experts in this field and some of the most experienced professionals. And I really thank NIQR for giving me this opportunity to be among all of you and share what I know and what I've been experiencing in the last few years. There is an advantage, or there is a way to look at, being the last speaker for the session and the last speaker for the day. My audience are either extremely agitated, wanted to get out through those doors, or they have come to a quiet silence, acceptance, and recognizance that, hey, it's just going to be a little more time, and I know how to zone out without actually showing that I'm zoning out. So I'm an optimist, so I think that the latter is true. Let's see what we have in store. I promise to not to bore you, and at least I'll try hard not to bore you on my thoughts. But having said that, let's start the session. The topic for the day is AI-powered transformation with data integrity. I almost forgot, another way of looking at being the last speaker for the session is that my co-speakers and the rest of the speakers for the entire 2 days have loaded you with all relevant, important, extremely significant information, which means my job is tremendously easy, and all I have to do is to summarize, reinforce, say that, hey, everything is true, and walk out saying that, this is what we're going to do. It's not as simple as that. I did do a little bit of preparation, so let's see what it is. What I want to talk about today is the competitive edge, which is the AI-powered transformation. What I'm willing to, my intention for this presentation is to walk you through how the market is, where do we have our opportunities, what are the challenges, what is the risk in terms of AI-powered transformation, and what are the ways that we can get out through the risks. What do we think the outcome could be, and where we are going as an entity in terms of manufacturing towards AI-powered transformation? Let's go to the next slide, please. Or maybe it's... All right. Let's talk about the market. I think we've had enough speakers today who spoke about where we are going as the world in terms of what is taking us forward for smart manufacturing, digital transformation, and AI in terms of manufacturing and quality. Now, when we think about it, the growth is staggering. You see, the global smart manufacturing capability is at a CAGR of 15.5%, and this is a forecast for the next 5 years, and this is for the overall global smart manufacturing growth. Smart manufacturing digital transformation has been growing at a very steady, consistent rate, and it's reasonable that it's reached a rate of around 15.5%. It's quite, logical. However, you see the exploding growth in AI in terms of manufacturing, and that is expanding at a rate of expected rate of 35.3 CAGR. That means organizations are rolling out investments left, right, and center inside AI-powered initiatives. However, most of the organizations, based on the survey results and based on the experts and based on companies like Forbes and researchers from MIT say that most of, or 70% of these AI-powered transformation is part of the digital transformation initiatives that companies are taking. So it's not a siloed process. It is not a single process. It is an overall experience the manufacturers and companies are driving towards change, not only just for manufacturing, but for the entire organization as whole. So where do we stand in this whole spectrum of information? What we are trying to do is, you could see, Asia Pacific is the second largest region after United States to lead transformation initiatives in manufacturing and also digital transformation and AI-powered transformation. What does this mean to us? Why is Asia Pacific leading? Logically, this is the region that is thriving today. You know how China is imploding with technology. You know the opportunities that lies in Singapore, and India is not far behind. NASSCOM data suggests to us that 39% of manufacturers today are leading proven AI-transformed initiatives and have taken tangible and decent ROIs based on the AI transformation initiatives that they've performed in the last 3 to 4 years. What it means, and I would be preaching to the choir, or the proof is in the pudding, that we heard from Mr. Vivek in the afternoon that how a lean, green factory is being built inside Sundaram Clayton. We heard use cases today from my fellow speakers and the software professionals that spoke today here as to how companies are taking this whole transformation seriously. So which means the AI transformation or AI in manufacturing is no longer futuristic. It is here, we are part of it, and it is our responsibility to take it forward. So is the question, if do we want to move to AI? It's not. It's no longer an if question, but it is how fast. Where can you grow and how fast can you do that? What's the opportunity? When you look at the opportunity as to what we want, this data comes from the industrial AI use cases by the IoT group. I've linked the references in the presentation if anybody is interested in going and reading it. So what we want to understand is, when I say AI-powered transformation, where is it that I want to focus my energy on as a manufacturer? As a manufacturer, companies, when the companies who are implementing AI-powered transformations are saying, and industrial use cases are much more prevalent in predictive maintenance and quality control, which is what you saw in the last 2 days and also in the last 3 sessions of speeches, where manufacturers and my speakers showed how extensive quality-based systems and predictive maintenance systems are being deployed, even inside India, and how people are taking tangible results. Now, how is that happening? We've had enough and more of real-world use cases with videos, with representations, with graphics, with data today. So I'm not going to delve deeper, but I want to highlight a few important points that what in our experience that we have seen in terms of the use cases. Quality control is one of the key pillars for how AI-powered transformation is making waves, especially inside manufacturing. Why quality control? When Deloitte did a research on what are the smart manufacturing initiatives that gives the maximum value and the high potential of return, they said quality-based initiatives give at least 30% savings and minimum of 30% reduction in costs, and a 10% savings in terms of safety and sustainability, and so on and so forth. So which means reducing defect rates is directly proportional to the cost of poor quality. You reduce the capability, you reduce the possibility of defects, increasing the reliability of your product, your process, and the reputation inside the company. An automotive company, I think it's BMW, they have developed the ability to generate unique inspection plans. I've had the opportunity to work with quite a few of the people who are gathered here in various capacities inside manufacturing, quality, and AI transformation. I know as colleagues, we have worked together in developing interesting and innovative solutions in terms of quality control. But we all know how difficult it is to create inspection plans when you have different kinds of products and different kinds of variants among those products. Now, when you can use the AI models in order to develop unique product-based inspection plans, and that gives a totally different perspective as to how you can manage your defect rates. So this company has created that kind of information to come up with a solution which will help the quality engineers to go ahead and have a seamless integration towards data with respect to quality inspections. Vision-based quality inspection have been there for a very long time. I think almost 8 to 9 years now, we've been seeing use cases on vision-based quality systems. However, what is changing with AI? The ability of large language models and what we call as causal AI. Causal AI is where you bring the logic and the machine learning, where generative contextual AI depends on the large language models. It is able to merge the capability of unstructured data with structured vision information to provide not only the defect detection, but also the source and cause of it so that you can prevent defects from occurring later. In terms of predictive maintenance, we all saw elaborate use cases, so I'm not going to get into detail, but what I want to show is predictive maintenance has the most tangible ROI capability, and companies not only are maintaining their assets inside the shop floor through predictive maintenance, but also the ones that they send to the field to manage the end-to-end information so that they can predictively maintain their assets that they have outside the field with the customer on our aftermarket capabilities. Of course, we saw how process optimization becomes immensely strong with AI-driven initiatives where you can build robust schedules, resilience in having cost management, optimization of your lines, your capacities, and multiple transformation initiatives with respect to knowing what is going to come rather than what is happening now. Digital twins are being currently used in terms of virtual replica of the assets on the shop floor. But what is also making the trends is model-based enterprise. I'm sure companies like Chrysler and are working on model-based enterprises where you have a 3D model that becomes a source of truth, which can take the entire data life cycle and give you the visibility or the end-to-end traceability at every stage of the production process so that you're not having distinguished, disintegrated data patterns. That's about the use cases. So what's the challenge? Where are we struggling? And why do we think that we are struggling? There could be multiple factors that lead us in the murky area of success with AI-based transformation initiatives. Everything is very rosy when you start the innovation. All of us know how interesting and exciting it is to build proof of concepts, how interesting it is for us to build pilots. But what happens is the ability to sustain the pilot, to bring it forward. The biggest challenge based on research, survey, and analysis comes up to be poor data and poor data only. We heard Professor Prem Motwani, who rightly said that Industry 4.0 is not making much headway simply because we are not able to gather and maintain the data quality inside the organization. Of course, poor data forms the basis of all the operational risks that you're going to face. The talent which is not able to understand and organize this data and work together in bringing it together. The security becomes the biggest risk because you don't know what you're exposing your factory to. And the ability to adapt to the changes when you implement this data transformation initiatives, alongside the cost that you pay for poor data integrity and poor data quality is immense. I would like to show an analogy, or rather tell you about the perspective of poor data. But before that, let's see what Gartner says. The picture is intentional. You can't do anything. You can't do something with muddled water. Muddled water is not good for drinking. As much as it would be abundant, as much as it is readily available, you can't do a thing if the data is not potable, if the water is not potable. And the data has to be potable as well. So what Gartner says is the cost that you pay for bad data quality is about $12.9 million annually. But the key point to remember is not the cost, but the ability or the risk of making bad decisions. We know bad decisions make or break companies. The stake is so high that having bad data is rather much more riskier than having no data at all. So the analogy is here. When you drive, it's much more safer to drive in a chaotic, unclean, and roads with constant obstacles than driving on a freeway with no obstacles. Why? You might think that it's free, it's smooth, and I'm going to have a good ride. But the risk is multi-times higher because the impact is very high. So let's think about it when we talk about what happens to poor data quality and poor data integrity. Now, I think we've all established the fact that data is the key to transformation. As to how? There are three components for data transformation. Often what we do is to mix up quality versus integrity. Data quality is different from data integrity, but data quality is a very integral part of data integrity. What is inside data quality? The data has to be relevant. So if you're looking at determining how to maintain your tubes, your valves, and your machines, you should have sensor data that represents the operational parameters of those valves, machines, and the tubes that's running in your factory. The data has to be accurate. The data has to be complete. You need to have end-to-end data that will give you the value that you want to interpret. When you're training AI models, like somebody who rightly pointed out, AI models have the capability to learn faster and in a very radical way as well. So the accuracy and the consistent and the completeness of the data, it's highly important for us to succeed in moving towards the journey of data integrity. Security. With data integrity, we often remember that integrity is formed only based on secure data. What we mean by secure data is the ability to validate the data, the ability to keep the data inaccessible to wrong sources, the ability for the data to be compliant with the global standards of privacy and security. When somebody's pointed out a use case on ability to look at workers' fatigue, the biggest risk there would be to understand if you have the privacy and the security compliance to conduct that kind of AI-based models. And the company will have to go through rigorous validations in order to handle the compliance audits. Now, keeping that security and the data quality comes integrity. Integrity is all about trust. And integrity is all about the ability to remain compliant to the data that you have. Trust comes with transparency. So let's see what are the most important capabilities that we need in terms of the key to transformation. But before that, we have to look at what could integrity cost you. In the real world, integrity costs us everything. You make or break a person based on the person's integrity and their ability to move in this world as an honest individual who is trustworthy. Nothing changes for data. Data remains the most indisputable source of honesty, truth, and validation. So the risk is very clear, right? Whatever you try as proof of concept or as a pilot may not take off. And I think most of us, or quite a few of us, have been in this situation where we built endless pilot projects, endless POCs, but they are not sustainable. Gartner came up with a model called as Mode 2 to Mode 1. Gartner's bimodal approach is very famous, where they speak about Mode 2, which is bursting transformation, where you come up with innovation, you build proof of concepts. But the proof is in whether you're able to convert into Mode 1, which becomes a hygiene, and it becomes consistent and sustainable inside the organization. Most of them fail here. A very interesting analysis from Forbes say that 95% of pilots fail in AI transformation inside organization across various business functions. In fact, manufacturing is in a slightly better state because 60% of the projects that we build go through successful pilots. So manufacturing is rich in data where we need to move forward with respect to pushing towards success is the ability to have data that has integrity and trust. Of course, the risk remains in the financial losses that the organization is going to incur in terms of wrong or bad integrity data. A very simple differentiation between poor data quality and poor integrity is data quality issues will give you wrong, inaccurate data, which you can correct and you can build. Data integrity issues will give you wrong but confident information, which you do not know is wrong in the first place, and you will end up having bad decisions, poor understanding of what the outcome is, and end up having a decline in the whole performance of the data that you collected for the first place. Of course, we spoke about compliance risk in the last two slides, so I'm not going to dwell too much on it. We need the data to be compliant. We need the data to be trustworthy, especially applicable for all pharmaceutical manufacturing companies who go through rigorous audits in terms of data management. What are the essentials? The essentials are very straightforward. It's simple, it is important, and it is proven. We need an integrated system where the data exists on a fabric which is end-to-end traceable, which means data collected from any and every system is linked, not repeatable, not redundant, but stays integrated. The ingestion of data that comes whether from manual input or from operator input or from machine input has to be stored, processed, and validated for consumption in a more structured and secure manner. When we say structured and secured manner, we want automated validation of the data for and repeatability. And there has to be a single source of truth. One of the other things that Professor Motwani pointed out is there is a lot of external dependency in terms of data management, which is also one of the risks. But let's all remember that many a times manufacturers choose the path of having homegrown systems versus going with third-party systems for end-to-end implementation. When I say third-party, I mean the ability for manufacturers to bring in external systems to manage the operations. Sorry, I think I'm extending time, but let me finish off saying that the essentials are given, and we know what we want in terms of compliance and risk management and the single source of truth. Just to summarize, the transformation depends on 3 factors. It's transparency, it's traceability, and trust. This does not need explanation. This needs understanding and the ability for people to work together to build that transparency, the traceability within the data, and trust. I'll leave you all with a quote, and you've listened to all the outcome, and everything is proven across different global companies. I'm not dwelling on this because everybody knows, like I said in this session, you've listened to umpteen number of use cases from India. I like this quote. This is from Gary Allman, who heads Master Data Management. Good data is the foundation of useful AI. The call for action for manufacturers is to build data-driven technologies of the future. So let's endeavor to build data that is trusted, that's transparent and traceable. And I wish all the best to everybody who's working on data-based innovations. Thank you. Thanks for your time.
So at the end of the session, what is the impression all of you have got? நாளையிலேருந்து ஏஐன்னு ஒன்று ஏதோ பண்ண போகுது, குவாலிட்டி நம்ம எந்த வேலையும் பண்ண வேண்டாம், அதானே? Future தான், future it has already come. We are seeing AI every day now. See, please, I just try to quote my mentor and professional guide, Dr. Ravichandran. Nothing in manufacturing will work if you don't touch the process, touch the machine, touch the people. AI can only help you, augment you. Definitely you need AI, but it has to augment all of our process and make it an excellent one to improve our efficiency and productivity. And finally, I would like to quote from today morning. I have been hearing right from our chief guest, Mr. T.K. Balaji, about China, and followed by our ex-chairman of ISRO. I would like to share my experience of China. In 2019, month of September, I visited a place called Wuhan. That time I didn't know about Wuhan. If I had known, I would not have gone. I went there to source a machine for laser cladding. You know, we are making engine walls. At the tip of the wall, we need to deposit a stellite material. Just 0.2 mm, we need to make a dish and then deposit this. I happened to go there, and we had connected with a supplier in Wuhan. The promoter was a lady. She took me in her car. It was like a big township. I am from Neyveli, so I am saying that it is like a Neyveli township. Huge place, only for laser. There are about hundreds of offices, factories, etc. Everybody is specializing on laser. So she took me to her office, and then I explained what is that I need. She noted down. She couldn't understand and comprehend. So she told me, come on with me. She took again in her car into the same township in a central place. There is a very big university. Again, that university in that Wuhan township is focusing only on laser research. So she put me in front of a professor. I did the same, explained the same thing. He took me around the university. He showed me laser cladding from small thing to a very big shaft, turbine shafts, and how the machine is being designed. He gave that design to this supplier, and then she made that design, and then they supplied. Now, why I'm saying this is, like we listened in the morning, China is growing, China is prospering because they also invest in this type of thing. We talk about isolation like IIT Madras and some of the institutes, but I think every township should be developed for each one of these different fields, and we should also, the institutes also should support, and particularly like our country where we have MSMEs, if that type of support is extended, I think definitely India can prosper better than anybody else. With this, I conclude this session and thank you.